Hey there, it's Travita with Cups and Conversation. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I really appreciate all your support. You know what? My cup for the day, you know what I'm drinking out of? Some people are not going to like this, but a bottle of water. That is in truth what I'm drinking out of. But if you have something you can pour this into, that would be great. So that's my cup for the day is a bottle of water. Just trying to stay hydrated. It's been really challenging being home for these past couple of weeks to eat right and to drink the things that I need to drink. And so in a future episode, we're going to kind of talk about some healthy options that maybe we can incorporate into life that will help us. Well, today we're going to talk more about the Lord being our shepherd. In a previous episode, which I encourage you to watch, I talked about how the Lord is my shepherd, and I read Psalm 23. And so today, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and then I have two book recommendations that I think are excellent. Okay? So in Psalm 23, I'm sorry, I cannot see. I have to lift this up a little bit higher. In verse 2, it says, He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. And then in verse 3, it says, He renews my strength and He guides me along the right path. So He leads me, but He also guides me. But then in contrast, in verse 4, it says, even when I walk through the darkest valley, when I walk through the darkest valley. And sometimes I do walk my own self into a dark valley. And it is not pleasant. And to be transparent, right now, I am in what I would consider a dark valley. I'm definitely in a trying place. Outside of the pandemic and outside of staying at home, I'm in a dark valley. And so I have to look for comfort in the Lord. He's the only one that's going to be able to give me that comfort that I so long for and that I desire. So I want to read you a promise from the Bible. I've already read to you in a previous episode, Psalm 94:19, which talks about Him comforting me. But I want to also read in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 and 4. Which says, all praise to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. God is our merciful Father and the source of all comfort. I like that. He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. So just like God comforts me in my troubles, I can comfort someone else if they're having a bad day or if they're in their darkest valley. So I hope that encourages you today. There's two books that I highly recommend, and of course these are not the only books available. This one is called A Shepherd Looks at Psalm 23 by W. Philip Keller. And I don't know if you can see that. A friend of mine let me borrow this book, and I love it. This book is going through Psalm 23 from the perspective of an actual shepherd. And so if you don't know the different habits that sheep have and what the shepherd has to do to tend to them, this would be a really great resource. Also, another book that I'm reading, we're doing this as a read aloud with my children. It's called Hind's Feet on High Places, and this is the complete unabridged version by Hannah Hurnard. And this cover is, you're not going to be able to figure out what this is about just from the cover. There's no pictures on the inside, but we're doing that as a read aloud. And my children have loved it. I have loved it. And it is from the perspective of the shepherd and how God is our shepherd, but it's told in an untruth way. I don't know how else you would say that. I don't know. But it's a made-up story, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. It's a made-up story, but it's from the perspective of a shepherd and then a little girl who is crippled, who needs the shepherd to help her so that she can do some of these tasks. So I would highly recommend both of those books. Well, thank you again for joining me, and on another episode, I will have some other book recommendations that you can be reading during this time of staying at home. Well, see you next time.